On this episode, we're going to tell you some things we have a hard time identifying with, but then we're going to drop some real, I think, some life stuff today. What do you think, Coach Deegan?
I think you're going to get Corey G in a little different way today. That's
Corey G unplugged, unfiltered.
Yeah, he went from point guard to scorer today. Yeah.
The fadeaway was right. Go ahead, Treyway.
Yeah, you went Kobe and dropped the 80 piece. That was a good episode.
D.
Man, so there's so many overlaps between sports and life, and I think as a coach, you got to know how to kind of juggle both and also be able to use your coach voice in both, and there's going to be a lot of knowledge for coaches.
Yeah, we're proud. I'm proud of this episode. Share with your friends. Let's go to the show. Coach's Clinic podcast. We're back. I'm your boy Corey G, Coach Mike Deegan, Tyler Treadway, Coach Dustin Myers.
Yo.
What's good, fellas? Back on the mic.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I'm going to pick it back up. All right, I'm coming right out the gate. Treadway, we're coming right to you.
All right.
As a coach, we give value here at the Coach's Clinic podcast, first off. It's brought to you by MaxEffortMuscle.com. It's Tyler Treadway. As a coach, what is one thing that you just every time it happens, you cannot identify with? That you as a person, as a coach, you go, gosh, like I got to coach this kid, but I don't operate this way, and I just cannot like understand it. Is there something like that that's like glaring for you?
I don't think there's one particular thing. If I had to pinpoint it, it would be when kids don't understand the opportunity that's in front of them.
That's a good
one. Taking full advantage of it. So, for instance, we've had a little bit of a rough start to the year, and so that's opened up some minutes for some guys because guys who we thought were going to be playing at a certain level aren't, and so they're lower, and their minutes get bumped down a little bit. Maybe they're going down to JV. And they're still young players, like mostly sophomores that are like those in-between players. And it's like, hey, we want to get you some minutes on JV so you can continue to develop. I think you can own this game and you can really like start to build your confidence and build your skills as well. And they're reluctant to do so because the status of being on one team versus another. So, no, I'm a varsity player. I don't want to go down. And just understanding like what that does for you as a long-term player, why you should take those minutes on JV. It's never like a punishment or anything. It's always like, hey, we're trying to get you a little bit more exposure because we do think that you have the ability to be a starter or a contributing player or something like that. And a lot of times they're just like caught up on the status of where they're at or where their friends are at and not really focused on where they want to be. So
how do you relay that as a coach to try to like get them to see that?
So when I was playing, it was a little bit different because we didn't have a JV soccer team. But in baseball, my junior year, I started on JV.
Okay.
And basically the way it was explained to me was I was kind of a utility player, so I never really had like a set position. I was kind of like a middle infielder, outfielder, but that's 5 positions. But being in a small school, it was always kind of dependent on who was pitching, where I was playing. And the coach was like, hey, you can be my starting shortstop on JV for a few games and kind of get your feet under you and understand that you can play at the next level and all that stuff. And so I kind of took advantage of that and then balled out on JV for the first week of the season and then went up to varsity and then never went back down. But being down there kind of understood, like I started to develop into a leader because then I had to lead those JV kids. And then when I came back up, I was more of a leader to the guys because they're mostly my age, things like that. So I just tell them that story like, hey, sometimes like I was a junior. No junior wants to go play on JV.
No.
And I was only there for a week. But when you understand that you have to take a little bit of a step backwards and you can learn some things and maybe even things you're not thinking about being a leader and taking kids with you and all those extra skills that you're learning, that can help propel you even to another level at the varsity level.
Am I allowed to fly in here?
Yeah,
can I
please.
fly in?
Yeah,
This is near and dear.
Yeah.
I always said if I had a billboard for a coaching slogan, if you had to pick a billboard and put something on there, mine would be dominate your current role.
Yeah, I like that.
I'm
a JV all-star, bro.
Yeah, like so I'll give a quick story off this, like where like I talk about this quite a bit in some talks I give. But I was my first coaching job. I was assistant baseball, assistant cross country, and my job was to fill up the water bottles. So I came. I was a decent.
You were going to be the best damn water bottle filler-upper
There it is.
anyone's ever seen.
Yeah, have I told
I
that
would
story?
love.
No,
No,
but
I would
no,
love
but
to
I
see
just
you.
feel it. I feel it.
At first, I was really frustrated. I'm not going to lie, right? I
Yeah,
was
of course.
a decent player. Now I'm coaching, and I'm filling up water. But I started going, hey, how much ice do you want in your water? How much? And little by little, I get that little. I'd face it, put the Gatorade label laying out,
So
right?
good.
But the moral of the story, though, by the end of that year, I don't know. I was giving talks to the team then because I didn't know much about the cross country part of it, but I knew a little bit about competing and that kind of stuff. So, anyways, that has held true for me in every phase. So guys they're upset with their role. I'm like, well, are you dominating on the JV role, or are you killing practice? Because in our program, you don't move up. You don't get a gift. You don't go, oh, I feel like you should get a shot now in varsity. It's like,
Yeah.
no, if you kill this, you're going to get a bigger role. But if you don't, we're not going to reward
Well,
that.
you got to get them reps. Like the JV reps are huge. But if you're looking at it like, oh, I'm amateur, I'm small, I'm too big for this. Well, you obviously ain't too big for this. Why is the motherfucker on JV?
Right.
If you're too big for it, then you should be blowing everybody out the water.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the reality. D.
Well, let me just kind of touch
Yeah.
on that real quick. So, yeah, I had something similar with my lifting groups in the spring. I had a kid that was in the kind of the quote-unquote younger group, kind of the junior high group. He was kind of borderline, probably could have been in either one. And he talked to me at the end of the spring, and he said, hey, I saw the group assignments for the summer. I said, yeah. I said, you're with your group. You'll be with the same guys. He said, well, I want to go with this group. I want to go with the older group. I said, well, why? He goes, well, I just feel like that group will push me more, blah, blah, blah. I said, well, I need you to be a leader in this group. I said, you're the strongest kid in this group. I said, so instead of just worrying about, who's going to push you, I need you to push everyone else.
Yeah.
And I think it kind of like turned a light on for him, like, oh yeah, like I'm a leader in here, and all summer I seen them kind of take on a little bit of a different role within the group.
That's
so I think
really
it was
cool.
Yeah, really just kind of getting them to realize like it's
It's just really looking at the perspective of it.
Yeah,
for sure.
And advice giving is a hallmark of bad coaching, they say. But my advice to you is I would say, just even hearing you talk there, you may be explaining too much. Like dominate your current role. No, here's why. You go be a leader on JV. But I think sometimes as coaches we feel you need to justify everything. But really, like
sometimes it's just what you say goes.
yeah, right. Not even like in a hard ass way, but it's just like, this is it for right now. This is where you are, and if you don't like it, then you're gonna have to figure this thing out a touch.
I think it's a great way to start the podcast. Good job, Treadway.
You got me
Dustin,
fired up, Tread.
Justin, we go to you next.
Yeah, refresh my memory. What's the question?
It's just like something that, and a lot of this is personality
Yeah.
driven, I think, but it's something as a coach that, you see maybe often that within your athletes that you're like, it's hard
that
for
you
you to
can't identify with.
with.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to say, and this is a really simple concept, but I see it a lot, and I think it is the downfall of a lot of average athletes that have great potential is they only want to work really hard and put all of their focus into the things they're good at, and they don't want to spend a lot of time or put the same effort into things they're bad
Drop
at.
the fire, D. Drop the fire.
I had a talk with a kid yesterday. We're maxing out on bench yesterday. Now this kid, if we just talk about the 3 big lifts, he's a great squatter. He's terrible on the bench, terrible on the deadlift. And I don't think it's because he's just some like natural squatter. I think it's because he had some success with that early, that now when I see him walk up to the bar to squat, he's like dialed in, he's pumped. And I told him this yesterday. I said, look, when you walk up to the bar, for deadlift on Monday, and today when you bench, what I see a look in your eyes like you don't know if you're going to get it or not. I've never seen you walk up to the squat rack like that. I said, you got to approach it with the same intensity, like you're going to own that bar, because that's the difference right now. It's not, I don't even know if it's really a strength difference. It's the fact that he doesn't enjoy those as much or is not as good at them, so he doesn't put the same effort into it. Mm-hmm. So I can't really identify with it. I always think, and I always preach, you got to make your weak links got to become strong links. And the only way you can do that is by working on the stuff you're not good at.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's a good assessment for you to just pick up on that too, D. I mean,
His
you've probably
demeanor's
seen it for a while.
Well, his demeanor is completely different. And honestly, for me as a coach, it almost didn't really click all summer until yesterday.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Really it clicked the day before on deadlift because he missed the deadlift. And I watched the way he walked up to it. It was just like, look on his face. Like I already knew he wasn't going to get it. Mm-hmm. And I've never seen him look like that on a squat.
What was his response to that conversation?
Well, he agreed totally.
Yeah,
he was like, Coach, you're right. And you know what? Then he walked up to the bench on the next one, like more fired up, but he still didn't get it.
Yeah, but maybe
So
he'll refocus though from
correct.
now on.
It's something that's going to have to happen over time,
Yeah, Coach.
Yeah, I think for me it's probably just people who aren't passionate about the sport, and that comes from I look at this from a place of privilege because I sometimes I pinch myself going I'm not someone, I just came from vacation, but I don't need, you'll never hear me say I need a vacation. Very, very, very rarely. You know what I mean? And it's because I enjoy what I do. So sometimes the kids who, at baseball practice look like they're going to the dentist chair, those are the ones that frustrate me. We should have some joy in this process. This shouldn't be so painful. But once again, I'm lucky that I found something that I love at an early age that had some natural skill with, and I've been able to take it into my profession. So I always have to check myself and go, I'm one of the lucky ones. But when people aren't just driven to be great, it's tough for me. But it usually comes back to the fact that I don't know how much they love it. So I really, in our recruiting process, I do it with my own kids too. I don't want to put them into things that they don't love necessarily, because I think, I just feel fortunate that I do something that I really enjoy, and it's hard for me to see people who don't.
When the passion thing is, I started to realize how deeply passionate I am about lifting weights. And then when it combined with helping people maybe get more confident or better, that married together was electric for me, right? So then it felt so deep that it was hard to identify with not maybe, like you said, an intensity thing or working toward or just not wanting to play your role, because I think the baseline was so deep of how much I care about it that I did a lot of these things naturally. So then I would even get more far removed from what my part is the consistency part of it, right? I don't understand that part ever.
Yeah.
That never makes any sense to me, but it could be, I could see if people love lifting weights or not.
Yeah.
And I understand that some athletes, we've been fortunate, we've had a lot of athletes we've turned into guys who love lifting weights. But a lot of athletes, me and Dustin have ran into this a bunch.
Oh, yeah.
They don't like lifting weights.
No, they're really good. They have a really good skill set, but the weight
that part was hard for me to identify with, because I'm a weightlifter first and really an athlete second. They're athletes first and weightlifters second, and that was hard for me to understand.
I think that too stems from weightlifting is what has helped you become great. Yep. It's what has helped me become great over the years. Yep. They didn't need weightlifting to become great. It's something they had to do.
Yeah, no, that's a great assessment, D.
Yeah, no, that's it. And like I said, that piece, I always have to check myself, because I identify with you guys quite a bit here. I hear a lot of, there's a lot of buzz now for work-life balance. You hear these phrases, or you need to get away. And I don't say this as a macho man. I'm not. I don't need that. You know what I mean? But my life is kind of built around where my family's integrated into what I do. And so anyways, I just, when I go home and I'm wired to think about how to improve and get better and make our program better, make whatever better, but it's not hard for me, where I don't know how people can go home and shut it off almost. So once again, I have to check myself, because not all the people that either maybe work for me or play for me feel that way, right? So I
would argue that a lot of them probably don't.
Yeah. So it's, you can't compromise that burn, but you also have to go, okay, I have to meet this person where they are, type thing. In the same way that holds true with that athlete who doesn't love to lift. Okay, they don't love it today, but can we keep working on this?
Yeah, if you're a good coach, you might be able to get them closer to that.
No doubt.
Because if they start to love it, they're going to be better at their sport for a longer period of time.
Yeah.
Most of the gym rats in the NFL are the guys that last 20 years. The guys that fall apart are the guys that were really talented but didn't give a fuck about the weight room, my opinion.
And just from the outside looking on that particular topic, it usually catches up at some point.
It has to.
Because usually what you'll see is an elite athlete, in their age group, in their city or whatever, they're just so much better. But at some point, and we never know when that point is, the skill level starts matching, and then it becomes these other things for strength, conditioning, flexibility, nutrition, and the elite are the people who can lean into those edges, and they start loving the strength training because they're going, holy shit, I'm seeing the gains now, right? And my longevity. The guys, it's easy, even to be a big leaguer, you'll see it for a year or two, but the ones who are most impressive are 10 years, 12 years. They can keep showing up day after day after day.
Brian Peters talked about Adrian Peterson.
Yeah.
He went and worked out with him. He's like, now I know why dude's the only running back that's damn near 40 years old. He just basically, I don't think he's playing this year, but all the way up to the last 2 years. And he was ultra talented on top of it. But that's why. Because he was so dedicated like that. And he was actually, he said, a guy that looked forward to training. and that makes sense. So it's like that part's really hard for me because I know how much I love it. And I think as a coach, you know how much it can do for others.
Yeah.
You know that, like, and that's why I was trying to get my son in here so much. Like, I knew the kind of confidence it could help him with, you know, and it's like, so I see that with all the kids, and it's like, or the guys in the crew, right? It's like, I know if this part gets dialed in, the other shit that you're trying to do becomes a little easier and you can be a little bit more successful. And it's like, so I think me knowing that because what I experienced then it's, I want them, but that's like with anything, you can't you can't take it and go, feel this.
Yeah.
Well, I think like the one thing that's tough for probably all of us to understand is like passion and purpose drive you, and those are different things for different people.
For sure.
And like our passion is coaching, it's lifting weights, these things, but a lot of these kids, they're doing it because maybe they're just really good at baseball and that's their means of playing for their college or paying for their college. Like maybe they're not really passionate about baseball and it's just like, I've been really good at this. I can get, you know, reduced tuition or free tuition. I mean, you see a lot with guys like, especially in soccer, because, you know, they're hammering soccer their whole life because that's what their parents tell them to do. Go earn a scholarship, you know, go to school. And this is a way to pay because college is expensive. But these guys are playing their whole lives. And by the time they get to their senior year of high school, I have it right now. One of our best players, he could go anywhere he wants to next year and play soccer, and he has no desire to do it because he's not passionate about it. But his whole life, he's had somebody tell him, this is your purpose. This is what you need to be passionate about. And then he might be passionate about engineering or something or other. He hasn't figured it out yet. But a lot of these guys are looking for what they're passionate about, and they just decide that maybe it's not sports, but they're still like so good, or they see that as a way to get to the next level.
I think the year-round shit's burning some kids out with travel baseball, all the tournaments you see the wrestling kids do. I'm sure soccer's the same way. Like, I think that's probably that's probably also why kids are great younger, like maybe a little bit. There's more reps, but I think there's probably more burnout too. Wouldn't you guys agree?
Yeah, for sure. And really where my mind's going right now is let's even peel it back further than sports. I really can't identify with people that don't want to be the healthiest version of themselves.
Yeah,
why would you, so like even if you don't like to lift weights, why would you not want to be in physical shape of some sort? Why would you not want to eat healthy, get good sleep, not put poisons in your body? That's one of the things, even from a young age, I had a hard time identifying with.
Do you have people close to you who struggle with that? Like, are there people, you know what I mean, that, I don't know, maybe a family member?
Yeah. There's definitely been people in my life that I look like, man, why do they not care about, about their weight? Or, why does this person smoke? Why do they, like in this day and age, how is there someone that is still smoking cigarettes? And there is people that I'm close to like that. And I just cannot grasp it at all.
Well, we're so far on the other extreme. That's why it feels like that. I think my answer to that is I don't think people understand how they actually feel. Meaning, I think that when you get addicted to feeling good, just like you said when you walked in, I was already here earlier. I got a streak going for a year of training. And somebody commented to me the other day about they saw Mike the way he looked, and I'm like, oh yeah, man, he's getting his workout, blah blah blah, whatever. It's like you start to get that momentum. And you start to get addicted to feeling good, confident, and I think people get so out of that, D.
When they're used to feeling bad, when that's their normal baseline.
That's my point.
Yes.
And that's why they don't. And so then we can identify with that because our norm is already so far over here. And so that's why I was like, I feel weird when I'm in a group of men specifically that do not take care of themselves, and they're, and I'm just kicking it, and there's like 8 or 10 guys, and we're just being bros, just talking about sports, whatever. But it always goes back to that because people feel like they have to say something when they're around me like that. I feel like I'm drinking and eating the same shit you're doing. I don't even want to take it there, but it always makes me feel, and I always try to deflect it.
Yeah.
Because I'm not here to try to make people feel bad about shit. If they're asking me real shit, I'll answer it. But the reality is I don't understand it, but I don't understand it because I'm addicted to the lifestyle of trying to feel good. And for me to be a total ass and be like, aren't you, like, you got to be tired. You're not, like, I know all the way they feel, but it's so awkward for me at this point in my life because I'm so extreme. I can't really, like, I can't even identify anymore.
But I've seen both of you operate with people who are heavy or, out of shape, and like just from the outside, it doesn't come off like judging. It's more
I try.
Like let's go for a walk. And like I think what I've realized this in any capacity. I mentioned it when I first started training. in any avenue, like people genuine, like they don't care. Like meaning, like if I can only bench 100 pounds,
Yeah.
most people in the gym, like you're not going to go, that guy can only bench 100 pounds.
Yeah,
Like,
I get you saying.
there's-
Yeah.
If you can only bench 100, then I just want to help you get to 105.
Yeah, like there,
Boom.
and there's really there's much less judgment
Yeah.
from people who really know. If someone all they can do is walk 2 laps on the track right now, but that's what they like.
They don't understand we're cheerleaders for that because that's getting better.
Well, because the judgment comes from insecurity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The people that are judging, if they're like, making fun of the guy in the gym, it's weak. It's because they're insecure about their own
Yeah.
self or lifts or whatever effort they're putting in.
I just wish people could hear that, because I mean, if I see somebody on the track, and I'm not saying I'm in great shape, but I'm like, wow, someone got up, they put their shoes on,
Yeah.
they got to the track, they're walking right now, they're sweating, like, and you'll say it like, hey, good to see you here or whatever, and mean it, like you really
Yeah, I'm that
mean
way.
it. So I just think people most people know that their health's important, but I think they get so far lost and they don't, they just don't know where they are, and then they think no, people are rooting for you. they want you to
but
be
it's
better.
more that
Yeah.
baseline. I
Yeah.
think that the bigger thing is
Mhm.
the baseline of feeling this.
Yeah.
You forgot. And even think about this, D. Even when we get out of the groove for a week or two, we're eating, basically we're like at 70% when we was at 100. That happens to us. You start, wait a second, I am a little bit more tired at this point of the day.
Oh, yeah.
And but then that's like still like a lot better than most of these people
Yeah.
feel. That's my point.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I get pissed at myself. I'm like, why am I okay with this?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I wish that I could, because I know that's a factor for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that next click up to care about that a little bit more. And
Mm-hmm.
I have a hard time identifying with that because I want to get that there for them. But also it's my job. So I always like try to tell people when I'm in situations like that, like, yo, like you're a lawyer, you're doing sales, you're doing that. This is what I do. So I should be this guy in this group. If not, then I'm not very good at my fucking job. And everybody goes, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it diffuses it a little
It
bit. right?
diffuses it. Yeah. It's funny. So
Yeah, anytime that someone tries to make an example of something I do, they're like, "Oh, you can do this." I said, "Well, yeah, I do it for a living.
Exactly.
Like I should be able to do that."
Well, it's not our hobby.
Right.
That's the thing is we're coaches of this for a living. I try to remind people that, but it is a hobby for a lot of people though. You know what I mean?
So, Treadwell, you turned 30 this year, right?
Yeah.
All right. So
dirty 30.
30. So obviously you live in the gym. It's a big part of your lifestyle. You're probably at the point now though where you're starting to see the separation with guys you grew up with, guys you graduated with, where you start to see if, high school football or high school soccer now has been, 10 plus years for them. So if they haven't maintained some sort of healthy lifestyle, you're kind of seeing them go one way. Whereas at our age now, it's a huge gap. When you're 22, 23, there's not a big gap. Everyone's kind of on the same thing still.
Yeah.
But if you kind of notice that with like your friends from back home or just people you run into that are your age, you kind of see, you can tell right away the ones that are not invested in the gym or in health in general.
Well, I'm surprised by the amount of people that I meet that are my age, just from all walks of life, that aren't in shape or don't have any drive or purpose. Like that's the biggest thing that like bothers me is like much past fitness. It's like they work a job that they don't like. They're not doing anything extracurricular. Like I'm not this huge coach of like the best program or anything like that, but it's something that I do that I think gives back. And there's so many people that are just complacent being average or normal, and I think that carries over into fitness because they look at it like, well, I'm 30 now, I was an athlete when I was 18, but I'm not where I was then, and I'm never going to be that next level. Like I didn't make it to the league, or I'm never going to be a powerlifter, bodybuilder, whatever. So they're like, what's the use of doing it?
I think when you combine that with they hate their job, they're not happy with where they're at in life, that leads to they can't wait for the bar on Friday. Like that's what they look forward to, is for the work week to be over and to go to the bar. Not that I'm hating on the bar. Everyone likes to go out and have a few
I go
drinks
to
or
the bar
whatever.
every Friday.
Yeah.
I'm just fucking with you. Go ahead. I do.
But it's not the main thing you look forward to in
No.
your week.
No.
You know what I mean? So I think it's kind of people get kind of caught in that cycle where that's really what they're living for.
Well, and the thing that I've done, and it's probably honestly not the right way to go about things, but I try to load up my life with as many positive things as I can. Joining the 4 a.m. crew in 2015, so 7 years ago, I started.
Did you join before Cole Susak?
The only person that was there when I was there was Todd.
No.
Yeah, Todd's the one that's been
Todd's the
forever.
ultimate OG.
Yeah.
Todd's the
Yeah.
oldest one. But to be honest, Todd, we had him on the show, and he's a guy that, like, is super inspirational because he's been doing that longer than I have. He's been coaching baseball way longer than I've been a coach, but I started coaching in 2015 too. Sometimes it's very hard to juggle. Like Gene and I had a conversation this morning. Like it gets really tough to juggle that sometimes. There's a lot of positive things you try to do. I coach 2 soccer teams. Come to the gym at 4 a.m. I have 6 former players that call me on a daily basis to like ask for mentorship, and it's like one of my buddies. I was kind of just unloading, kind of like I am on you guys right now. But,
Cry on Deegan's shoulder. He's
right,
close.
Right. Well, it's like I was talking to him, and I was like, man, like I have all of these things, and it's hard to like focus your energy because you're trying to do so many positive things, on top of what we do here at Max and all that stuff. And he's just like, heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Yeah.
And it's like you don't think about like yourself being in that position. I'm not a king or anything like that, but it's like you start to bear a lot of things, and I think people shy away from that because they don't want to get to the next level. They don't want to be anything special, and it's like they just avoid it because it is tough to juggle. It's easier to go to a job that you hate every day and not really push, just kind of skate and get by. It's easy to go home and turn on Netflix and order Uber Eats or whatever you do. But I think that it really separates the people that try to do better and try to add things to benefit other people's lives.
Well, I think a lot of people that are listening to this are already doing that because most of them probably aren't full-time coaches like
That's
Coach
right.
Deegan, right? And so it's like a lot of times they're part-time guys, whether it's at the rec, whether it's at high school, whatever it is. And so they're already trying to separate themselves because maybe they don't like their job. And that's part of where they get to give back and they feel good, right? And so what I'm going to push the people that are in this category is then on top of it, look at your fitness the same way. Because if you get both of those lined up, then when the opportunity comes to maybe you want to change that other situation, you're going to have the confidence to do that because you've been pouring into these kids, you've been working on yourself, and then it flips to where, man, fuck this side of stuff. I want to change and do this, whether it's your own business, whether it's a different job, doesn't matter, but it takes confidence over time to make changes like that. Just like you did, Treadway, going from Cardinal Health to coming to Max to doing the things like to, having like an unknown kind of situation, like, but it's something you're passionate about and you wanted to go push on. Like, I think those things match up really well. So you do get addicted to feeling good. And then you're like, well, I think I could feel even better. I could go and push myself another level or take a bigger coaching job or whatever it is. But yeah, ain't none of this shit easy.
what I'm hearing and I've witnessed this is that people are more comfortable, even if you don't like it, of knowing what you're going to get. Like even if I'm miserable, but if you say, hey, if you try this over here, like it's really hard for people to make that jump. It's well, if I cut out alcohol, what's going to happen? Or if I have to go and I go on a diet, like I'm not going to be. But really, if you do it, like if you could just push yourself on that side, you realize that you open up. I think about Danielle in here in the mornings and just what she has said. Just she cut out drinking. She just and
she has some new rules in her life.
And all these. What I loved about it was really a side conversation one day. But she said, I just attracted all these really positive people into my life now. Like I didn't even know they existed, but now. But anyways, where you think you're losing alcohol, you think you're losing whatever bad foods, but it's actually opened up a whole new world for her and for others and myself as well.
I've been making the kind of like statement of like discipline's not really taking anything from you. It's actually giving you everything you wanted. You just
that's some fire right there.
You're just looking at it the wrong way. Every time I got more discipline, I got what I wanted because I had to work for it, but it was right there on the other side of it. Now, the time frame you don't dictate.
Nope.
But that's really what it is. And so that's why I used to tell people when I would sit them down, especially like in-person training, like no pizza, maybe we do cheat with this. Oh, you're going to take that away from me. No, I'm about to give your motherfucking life back.
Yeah.
It's being taken from you right now. You just don't realize it. I'm telling you that this is a way to get it back. And so I think like people, once again, to Dustin's perspective of the kid going up to the bar, he's looking at it the wrong way. I've always been a glass half full guy. I think there's a couple different ways to look at this life, but it's like, yeah, I'm not a guy with my head in the sand. I got plenty of problems I got to deal with, but the reality is like, it just feels a little bit better looking at it this way. And then if you can attack it that way, I think that there's a lot more out there for you. If you're already a coach and you're listening to this, you're already trying to impact people. But some of these things can then take it even to another level, in my opinion. Fucking bringing that, boy.
Boom.
Treadway, talk about our conversation this morning.
Yeah, I mean, that's where a lot of this stems from. You know, like I needed this podcast this morning because I'm juggling a lot of stuff, like trying to be this positive influence to a lot of people. You know, you got games going on, you got kids reaching out, stuff like that. And sometimes you try to do so much and then you fail at one aspect and it really weighs on you. Like, you know, to be, you know, completely transparent, like I missed the gym this morning, like had a late night coaching and I was like, look, if I got to do it all again today, or we got another practice, we got another game tomorrow, like it never stops. So it's like, all right, I'm going to get a few extra hours of sleep. Then I feel like shit because I miss out on the crew and I see that, you know, not a ton of guys were there and I'm like, I let that team down. And it's like, you never want to get that feeling of letting people down. That's why you push so hard, but it takes away from you.
You know, it'd be interesting in your evolution. I don't know how some of my other friends here feel about this, but as I've gotten so you go through these phases, like you as you start having more influence, you want to do more. Doing positive things is like a drug. You want more and more and more. I guess now I've kind of maybe passed that threshold, and now I say no a lot. So now it's like you learn, and it's hard to say no to things, but then you can pour all your energy into a few things and go all the way, because there's times where you feel like you're just kind of sprinkled all around and doing an average or below average job at a lot of things. So yeah, I think as I moved into my 40s now, it's more, let's pick these things. I'm gonna have to tell these people no, right? And then go to your highest leverage areas and pour yourself into it. But I've said no a lot more probably in the last like 3 or 4 years than I ever have, especially some of the speaking stuff I do now, because there's like people, like friends will say, hey, can you come talk to my little league team, my 14? And I want to do it for them, but I can't. Like someone also told me too, for me now, every time you leave your house, you're leaving 4 kids. You're leaving Lowry with 4 kids. That's on her. You're missing their events.
Yeah.
So while you may feel good doing this for free,
there's still an opportunity
anyways,
cost.
there's
still a cost to the fam,
so,
bro.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. So anyways,
Every opportunity is not a good opportunity.
that's right.
It's not good for you.
That's right. And at some point you feel bad because you have let them down maybe, but then that's all right. It'll come back around.
I was like that in about 2010 or 11, and then when MP started rocking, I got that lesson real quick. One of the guys said, bro, you got to say no more than you're saying yes. Gee, you too nice.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I know. I want to help everybody, but there just ain't the bandwidth for that no more. We're doing crazy numbers, a busy guy, creating all this stuff. Like, I got good at saying no. I don't feel bad about it because the reality is I'm going to go out of my way to help the people that need to be helped that I fuck with. And I also go over and above for people I don't even really know. But then when you kind of feel entitled to my time and you really ain't putting any time in to get that time, then it's a real easy no. And if it just doesn't line up with, like, dude, Jake Owen, homie, he's in Put in Bay tonight. I want to go watch him. I don't even like country music, but I want to support him. He's a dude.
Yeah.
But I know if I go to Put in Bay tonight, I'm wrecked for 2-3 days. Like, it just is what it is. So I just told him straight up, like, Jake, I want to come up there, bro, but I know it's crazy. I'll go to a different show, a different time, but this just ain't going to work for I feel really bad because he came here to support us. I want to support him, but the reality is some things you just know just ain't good for you.
So that time lines up, right? So 2011, 2010, whatever, you're right around.
Yeah, about that. I was 30, 31, 32.
In that time. Can you relate to what I was saying and what, about the saying no and want to do a lot? And
Oh yeah, I mean, I get asked to do stuff all the time on the weekends, especially.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I just tell people like,
I'm a hard no on the weekends.
yeah,
bro.
I'm like, no, Saturday. They're like, oh, maybe we could train this. I'm like, no, I don't go to the gym on Saturday. Oh, hey, will you come to this? Our my parents' wedding anniversary party or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm just like, nah, like Sundays I'm at home. Like I
Yeah.
just don't. I'm gone so much and I do so much stuff, for business that I just gotta have to have, like, the weekends is, like you said, a hard no for me.
Yeah,
then
real hard.
It starts
no.
getting clear though, doesn't it? Like I had
It's been clear for me for a long time.
and so I'm a little behind that. But I had there was something through my job where someone asked me to be somewhere recently from 9 to 5 on Saturday of Labor Day weekend, and then
Not happening.
no, it's not. Like it's not. Like it's not. Like it's. I can't do it.
I must have been doing a pretty good job of it for a while because a lot of that stuff don't even come my way anymore.
Yeah.
People know better than that.
yeah.
Which it's not by. I mean, I think, but that comes with being overwhelmed, and I think eventually you just have to be that way. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, like, And I think my circles just continue to get smaller too. So I think that's kind of taking care of itself. But I used to feel bad, but also like feel bad if I'm leaving my family. Like the reality is like, this is what I always think about. Could I be spending that time doing that or throwing the football with Alex? Cause I know you got 1 year left, you know, in high school. Like it's easy. It's an easy yes to pick this side.
That's real talk right there.
That's it. I mean, I really evaluate things like that a lot of times. And I have for years because it's like, you know, then it doesn't make me feel that bad because I'm picking what I should be picking anyway.
Who are the key stakeholders?
Yeah.
And I need to lean into them as much as I possibly can.
Back to Danielle real quick, I think is a good talking point because she just put some more rules in her life. The discipline comes with certain rules. And the drinking thing is interesting because a lot of motherfuckers like to drink beer, me included. Me and Rachel went to Ireland just to drink beer. Every spot I went to was around a pub. My whole entire trip was about drinking beer. So I'm all about it. But I can't drink beer on Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday or Sunday. Like there's rules. Friday, I do look forward to having a pint of Guinness, but I'm not having it any of those other days because I know if I do that and I give into that, I'm going to be less motivated about going to the gym. I could potentially get hurt on one of the days we lift heavy because I'll be dehydrated. I'm not going to feel as clear when I come in here. And so I got Guinness on tap in my house and Blue Moon for motherfuckers who don't like Guinness. But the reality is I had to put those rules in place to have some type of balance. And every time people come to my house and see that, they go, man, you could just walk downstairs and pour a beer. Yeah, but I got rules. And they're like, yeah, I'd have to have some rules if I had this. And that's the reality. But I think everything that you know is holding you back as a coach, business, athlete, whatever it is, you need to put a rule in place for it. I don't do this great all the time, but I know there's certain things I cannot do. And it's just what it is. And if I fucking give into that, then I should expect a less of a great result. And if I don't give into it, then I know it's just a matter of time that I'm going to get what I want. And so I think people, you know, kind of start to categorize like, where's my 4 or 5 rules I really got to play by? That's it.
What's the that's just phenomenal. But what's the Nick Saban line? It takes what it takes.
Yeah,
like
the standard takes. He got a gang of those.
Yeah. Mike Tomlin's a standard, but it is like if I want to be healthy, fit, happy, like I have to do these things, right? And it just takes what it takes. You can't trick being healthy. You can't trick being fit. You can't trick being a good coach or a good business person. You can't. It takes what it takes in some ways.
It's amazing how this went to life stuff, huh?
Always.
Coaching in life is like,
well, it's like being a dad to a bunch of people, man. At the end of the day, like you're really like I hear stuff from my younger kids. I know they're not, and I'm sure D and all you guys that you know they ain't telling their parents. But you're old enough that you can give them the same advice their parents would probably give them. You know what I mean? But they ain't gonna listen to their parents the same way. I gave a kid some advice the other day. He said he was having some problems with his girl and this and that, and it was stressing him out. I said, look, man, like this kid's definitely going places. I'm like, bro, she ain't going to college with you. This shit don't mean nothing. In 2 years, you're gonna talk to probably 5% of the people you talk to right now. And if you're looking at that as, I said, this is one thing that I've tried to do a good job of. I don't even fuck with I love my local community, but I'm not just my local community. I'm trying to be big in my industry. I'm trying to be like a impactful person out here. So like if I get stressed in the local community, to me, it feels small time to me. And I just told the kid, like, this might sound arrogant, but this shit is small time. You want to be a D1 fucking stud? You can't be worrying about this shit. You got to stay fucking focused. Right now, in this little bubble, it feels like a lot. But open it up. And you want to go to fucking this university or that university? Shit don't mean nothing. Bro, it's like you got to start to take yourself out of this little local, small-time bullshit drama. And whether it's true or you're lying to yourself, you're bigger than that. And so that's some things that maybe like because I've had some success outside of just being a local good trainer, that I can shed light to some of these kids and say, look, if you're trying to really strive to try to be great, you can't get caught up in all this noise. The shit is nothing. And so I gave him, and he kind of looked at me like, yeah, you're right. I'm like, I'm telling you it's right. It might sound like fucking like I'm, popping my chest, but I'm just telling you, if I got caught up in whether I was the best trainer or better than this guy in Reynoldsburg, Ohio, when I fucking started out, I sure as hell wouldn't have been the dude on fucking bodybuilding.com fucking with Arnold. because I believed I was bigger than that. Whether or not it was true or not at the time, I had to make it true. And so I think part of not getting caught up in all that little drama bullshit is a huge, huge deal. And so like when I get a chance to give some, I think, life advice or just like advice to athletes that are younger like that because of my experiences, and all of you guys have had a chance to do that multiple times, it feels good because they're not going to get it from their parents. So if you are listening, like you are that person for a lot of these kids, man, that you can give advice like that and can be life-changing, I think. But I think your advice with the JV thing and then combined with how Coach said, that's huge, bro. Owning the role, telling them to get the reps. Everybody goes down to the minors to rehab in baseball.
They're there.
That's just what it is, right? They know they're there for a week. What do they say? Well, I'm playing JV this week. No. They're getting reps. Got to get the reps, man. So, I don't know. Where we go from that?
I think that was some good reps today. For
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. We good?
Yeah.
Yeah,
doubt.
Coach. All right, Coach's Clinic Podcast brought to you by MaxEffortMuscle.com. I'm Coach Corey G, Mike Deegan, Tyler Treadway, Dustin Myers. We're out.